So let's focus for a minute on this, and this is a perfect segue towards the last methodology, the last framework that I'm bringing to the table, that I've named the Aedis to Ideas framework, which is trusting on a radical focus on customer centricity to be able to signal the potential disruptions that might affect us, and also to identify potential ways to become the disruptors. So reassess your core assumptions regarding your customers. And it all started with this image that is something that probably you've all heard of. Apple didn't kill the music industry. It was music industry itself that forced everybody to buy full-length albums. Amazon didn't kill the retail industry. It was the bad customer services that did. So we see that there are a lot of established asymmetries that I want to call your attention to. These asymmetries are very, very relevant. Let me give you some more examples. So if you go to the oil, if you look at the oil industry, you go fill your gas tank, you'll see that there's a very documented and very well-known effect that is called the rocket feather effect. This effect explains how gas prices at stations reflect price increases of oil immediately and delay the price decreases. That means that if in origin the price has risen, you'll see that rise in your pocket like straight away. But if it has fallen, you'll see that it takes at least a couple of weeks for you for that price to be reflected when you're filling the tank. So that is massively unfair. Why is it like that? Well, it's always been like that. I mean, it even has a name. It's really unfair. It's asymmetry. It brings massive benefits to the companies and massive disadvantages to us. But, well, they get along with it. I mean, they get away with it because we just conform to it. And there's a lot of conformism in our society. Everybody seems to be conforming, at least also in this other industry. The banks, you know that the banks, if you make a transfer, they create an unnecessary delay between the payment and the delivery of transactions. I mean, that 3 days delay was justified in the past, but maybe not so much today. Why is there such a delay? Well, I mean, it's all the way it's always been, right? There's also arbitrary and fixed exchange rates on international transfers, and there's no interest on the float of business or current accounts. Why? I mean, why if I have a float in my current account or in my business account, I'm not receiving interest for that? I mean, they are making money out of it. Why am I not? So why? Because it's just the way it is. It's established. It's it's a disadvantage, but everybody takes it for granted. So not too long ago, there was an internal Santander memo leaked to the Guardian Money saying that 10% of its global profit came from international cash transfers and that they charge 6 times more than other rivals. So that is a massive asymmetry. See, these people call themselves customer-centric, but I would say they're definitely not customer-centric. Because they are leveraging or they're benefiting from these, what we call the Aedis, the asymmetric established disadvantages. Many legacy companies that tend to be customer-centric are largely benefiting from very unfair asymmetries that represent a major disadvantage to the customers, to the clients, to the stakeholders, and the partners. Okay, so that is the concept of the AEDI. And you will see in a minute why I use this cryptic term, the AEDI. You'll see that if you flip the AEDI, if you can flip it around and convert it and turn it into an idea. So that is why I chose this AEDI acronym to describe these asymmetric established disadvantages, okay? Really important to signal them because if we signal them, we might understand where our disruption might come from. It might also lay for us a path towards true customer centricity, and it might also describe for newcomers how they can become relevant in a given context. I'm going to give you yet some more examples of established asymmetric disadvantages. I don't know about you, but in my country, the telecom companies, they force you to have to owe a fixed telephone number and a terminal in order to have a smart TV. So I have a fixed telephone number that I don't even know what number it is because I never plugged it. So, but I'm forced to have a smart TV. Why? Well, it's just the way it is. I mean, that gives them a lot of benefits, and people seem to be conforming with it, right? And so what I'm doing now is I'm creating a repository of all of these established asymmetric disadvantages per industry, and you'll see that there is many. Somebody was saying here in the chat, there's a lot in the airlines. Yes, there are a lot in the airline industry. Overbooking, cancellation fees, dynamic prices, check-in fees, hidden extra extra cost, not being able to take the return flight, and good luck redeeming your points, your loyalty points, right? So there is, no matter what you go in, what industry, it's very easy to find these AEDIs. I'm not saying that there are always AEDIs, because people in some industries are doing the things right, but there are some fundamental wrongs to be identified in many industries. And for that is precisely why I have created these AEDIs to ideas framework and this database, this open database that I'm creating. So there is this context, the aediscanvas.com. I'm going to share it with you here, aediscanvas.com. And if you go to this website, you will see the description of the methodology and many other things and goodies, hopefully. And you can also download the template, or you can go to an interactive version of this template, template that I'm going to describe in a second. That is pretty much, you'll see as a business model canvas, a simplified version of it, but very explicitly trying to identify what's not working, the established asymmetric disadvantages in an industry, what kind of companies are benefiting from it, the name, in case that this established asymmetric disadvantage has a name, like the rocket feather effect, is really useful to use the name, or to come up with a new name for them, because it makes the conversation around these ideas a little more simple. And then describe the idea, describe the fair competitive advantage and the abusive disadvantage. So how the company is massively benefit from this, and how it is abusive to the clients or stakeholders, etc. So that is the upper part of the AEDI canvas, everything that is wrong in a given industry, everything in a specific area of the industry. And then in the bottom part, we have the possibility to flip it around, to make an idea out of the AEDI, right? To right the wrong. So sometimes you'll see that there is companies already doing it, companies righting the wrong. So if you're able to come up with one, that's great. This tool is also helpful to make a repository and to understand the disruption from this other lens. And then you can describe the value proposition that company has, or your own value proposition. Why? Because the idea is that if you have a clear defined idea, it'll be easy for you to just turn it around, to flip around and convert it into an idea. So by means of filling this, you will be aggregating to the database, and you will eventually have access to that open database. Not yet, but hopefully in a couple of months, or maybe in a month or so, we'll be able to share the results of the first wave of inputs to the AEDIS canvas. And what we've done here is we've added your email instead of your name and the date. So the idea is that, I mean, you can refer it to any company and it will not be traced back to you. It will be anonymized, okay? So you will receive a copy via email and we will receive it too, a PDF of this document that you can share. But you can, decide to use it a completely different way. You can decide to run your own workshops. And for that, we've created a simple step that I've tested and used with students and with team participants all across the, well, I'm not going to say all across the world, but in many different contexts. So very simple. I strongly suggest teams to identify several IDs to begin with in an industry, and then focus, make a selection, a choice, and then focus on 2 of them or just 1 of them, and being more specific about it. Okay. So there's the tool for you. And let me go back to my presentation. So here, aediscanvas.com or in diegosoroa.com/aediscanvas, you can find these resources. Please go ahead and fill it with IDs, with the wrongs that you want to write, and with whatever feedback that you can provide, because it'll be most appreciated. We're just getting started with this. I mean, I've been entertaining this this concept of the difference between the assumptions and the hypothesis for a long time. But it only has crystallized into this IDs approach in the last 2 months. So we definitely are still iterating and pivoting and fine-tuning the approach. So your input will be treasured. Okay. So other companies or other industries like the insurance industry, I'm going to describe a couple of more examples to now explain you how you can turn these IDs into ideas. All right. So in the insurance industry, we see that there is a adversarial relationship between the clients and the companies. There's a fundamental conflict of interest. You win is their loss, and vice versa. So there is a massive misalignment there. And so what happens is that they end up selling you excessive coverage of things that you don't need and limited coverages for the things that you really need, right? So that is an AEDI. That is clearly an AEDI. And sometimes we like to see these become a reality, right? This idea of having them copy, I will not sell unnecessarily policies. See, it is very important to identify these AEDIs because, as I was saying before, most likely these there is at least a kind of disruption. I'm not going to say all of the disruptions, but a kind of disruption that will come from here, from your customer choice, from you not being really customer-centric. So it is important to identify your own asymmetric disadvantages because if you do, that will allow you to address them before your disruptor does. So I really encourage you to scan your company or your business model, or your activity through the asymmetries, through the massively unfair asymmetries that they are established, but there's no real reason why they should be like that. So why is that? Well, because if you don't address these AEDIs, some other will. There's companies that do not conform with the status quo, that do not comply with the assumptions or with the established asymmetric disadvantages. Those companies are the disruptors. So the disruptors will be the ones that will take your AEDI and they will make the reflection, will make the incredible industrial disruptive initiatives that will change the landscape massively. So you can do it yourself if you signal them and if you tackle them. Non-conformist is what we should be. The disruptors is someone that does not conform to other people's ideas or assumptions of how things should be. See, I'm yet emphasizing this massive importance of revisiting our own assumptions, right? And in this case, the established assumptions related to the way we relate to our customers. The beauty is that these non-conformists, these disruptors, these newcomers, they will attack you exactly at the weak spots. They will attack you exactly at what you're doing wrong. And they don't need to cover all of the battery of services that a bank does to be relevant in your specific AEDI. All right, I'm going to give you an example. They're going to focus directly they're going to capitalize on the negative things that you do. And here's an example. We describe an idea of in the banking industry, there's arbitrary and fixed exchange rates, and that is an issue for many, many people. So there's a company that suggested we're going to turn this idea into an idea. We're going to send money with real exchange rates. We're going to allow you to decide what is the exchange rate that you choose. And we're going to allow you to choose when you make the conversion to benefit from a better conversion rate, no more fixed rate. And that company is TransferWise. Now I'm benefiting from TransferWise myself. And actually, I know that banks such as Banco Santander, they're really concerned about this because they are like really gaining a lot of traction, not by replicating everything that the typical bank does, but by focusing on the idea and turning it into an idea. So that is the beauty of this. I'm not saying it works for everything. It doesn't. But for those contexts in which you can identify an AEDI, this might be a massive shortcut for disruptive ideation. Look at what this other company did, Lemonade Company. They told us, forget about the AEDI, forget about everything you know about insurance. We're going to turn things around. We're going to make instant everything, killer prices and big heart. We're going to massively align with your needs. We're going to make it work for everyone. Right? I would say this is yet one more proof of a company not conforming, a disruptor not conforming with the established asymmetries. So that is the purpose, that is the motivation behind the AEDI framework, the AEDI to idea framework. I believe that, this is fundamentally a very optimistic approach, as you can understand, as you can see. The idea is that if we are able to signal what's wrong, it's much easier to fix it. It's much easier whether you are a large organization or whether you are a newcomer. And it's also much easier to really get fundamental realignment with your customer needs. Okay, so this is the question that I suggest you to do. Before you get started with an initiative, think about your industry or your arena, as Rita McGrath suggests, and think of what is really not working in that arena. Think if there is any asymmetries that are affecting either your clients or your customer or partners or stakeholders. Try to identify those asymmetries and then try to do the disruptive research through the lens of those asymmetries, those established asymmetric disadvantages. Because if you do, you might be into something really, really good. That might be something good for the 800-pound gorilla. That is the existing organization. They can change and they can adapt better and adapt to a specific potential disruption, which is what we'll do at the core. But also to the edge initiatives, they can really really leverage those ideas to turn them into ideas and come up with something really that works for everyone. Or and as I was saying, they can really help anyone advance towards true customer centricity. So this is the question that I'm asking you to reconsider. What if we really put people first? What if we radically put people first? What would be a radical value proposition that people would really like to hear from us? Okay, that is the heart of the Aedis canvas, and that is the motivation behind this canvas. So this is the canvas that we've already described. You will have access to it. And these are some examples of how you would fill a canvas. For example, with this rocket feather effect, here's the oil industry. Here's the name of a company. Here's the rocket feather effect, the name of the effect. Describe the ID. Well, gas prices at the station reflect price increases of oil immediately, and delay price decreases. The benefits from the delay periods is the unfair advantages, or paying an artificial price is the abusive disadvantage. Okay, and a value proposition could be having a gas station reflecting instantly the variations of the same price, etc. So the main components of the IDs, I'm not going to go into them because we're running out of time now, but hopefully they are clear enough. I've made some examples, and you will find many more examples on the website of a filled IDs canvas, and hopefully you'll be completing these canvas and this database with your own inputs, so we can all benefit from this. Okay, so I think I've covered the better part. I mean, these are a myriad of different ideas in different industries, in different realities or sectors. There's already an interesting body of knowledge that, of course, I'll need to curate. But, well, another industry. So again, I want to stress the idea that this is an open methodology for you to use at your convenience. And for that, we've defined some fundamental steps that you can find here, and you can also find in the website. I strongly encourage you to use them, and ideally to share your results and your ideas via the website that we put together for that. Okay, there is some success stories that I'm learning off people in the amazing ecosystem that we have, like Dea, Suba Franco, or Suman Sasmal. They're using this methodology with their teams in different countries and in different projects, and the feedback that I'm receiving in general is very positive. So I would like to hear your feedback, your own feedback, your comments, your suggestions, and the way you believe we could improve this. And now I'm going to close with one final thought, which is this one. In the end, we will be forced to do what we should have been done already in the first place. If we are radical enough, if we are original enough, we'll be forced to do what we should have done. Thank you very much, everyone, for your attention. And now, if there's any questions or comments, this is a really good moment. Thank you, Arne. Thank you very much. Thank you, Orestes. I assume Orestes is your first name. Hello, Christian. Good to see you. Hi, Clarence. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you. So if there's anything that wasn't clear enough, or something that maybe I could insist a lot on, a little bit more on, I'll be very happy to do it. Thank you, guys. So now go ahead and use it. Please use the tool and share it. And hopefully we will create these amazing database of the things that we could be fixing to be disruptive, or to accelerate the positive change, the positive transformation in humanity. Again, this is not useful for everything, because it's not. It is very useful for some specific things, for some context in which there might be an asymmetry. If you find the asymmetry, it's like finding a gold mine, I would say, in terms of transformation and disruptive capability. So I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I'm glad that you find it helpful. I just cannot read all of the comments. I mean, this is great. Thank you so much. Very generous of you.